My happy place in nature is our mountains. I think, like when I'm in the mountains, that's like my happiest, like that's the happy Tati. Like that will be, like the place, or like that's the my vision is like to have, like my house in the mountains, and just like I always joke around to my family, and I'm like, I see a mountain and I'm like, oh, I wish like I could just like run naked through that mountain. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yes, like, like how liberating that will be just to run naked through the mountain. And like that's kind of like my vision, like to have, like a house in the mountain and just run naked. Like one day, like I might do it. But that's my happy place, like the mountains. I love mountains. Everyone has their own way of connecting, right? Like I told you, like sometimes even with the breath, like we connect with like with the land, because the air is part of that system that gives us life, right? So how do we take 5 minutes, like when we wake up, when we open our eyes and we're laying in bed, and just like to breathe and be like, okay, I'm breathing, thank you for this breath. Or like before we go to sleep, like thank you for the day. And like it's just like little things that, acknowledging that are there, right? Like before, like when we drink water, like sometimes we just drink it, like we don't really, like, like we don't think about it. And it's just like, um like being like, well, thank you, water, for like, like refreshing me. Or like I always say like thank gracias agüita, like thank you, right, when I'm like drinking it. And like I always make this sound, and like it's like, and I do it to like my parents, and like my friends, and they're like, what the hell? Like it's like so annoying for them. And I'm like, well, it's very refreshing, and like it makes me feel good. So like, like acknowledging the elements in a way, right? Like I spoke about this, like when we take a shower and it's just like, like the water, it's like washing, like how do we feel, like sometimes it's like we're in a rush and we're like just showering, and like we're not even conscious that, like what's going on and like what the water is doing to our bodies. Right. And like for indigenous communities, they do have this notion that comes like naturally because they were born in a place that is, like that's alive, and like they share this symbiotic, like relationships, and they share this connection naturally, right? When they go to the river, and like the river is also considered, like a living spirit, right? Like it has like a spirit, it is alive. For us, like that don't have that background, right? That grew up with different cultures and different, like places. We might not have that, right? Like maybe our mom didn't, like share that with us. Like she will just shower us, like, but like it's, like I feel like growing up, you have like a lot of us, I think we have that curiosity of connecting with, like even when we go to a park, like why do we go to a park, right? We go there to like find peace and to, like feel or like decompress, or just like take a walk. And because we know that our body reacts in a certain way when we are in a natural space. So how do we build, like a practice, and how do we build a sense of also, reciprocity, right? Like we take and we give, right? Like the land offers us, like so much, like the food that we eat, right? Like it comes from, like Mother Earth. And how do we, like how do we harvest our foods, like for people who are able to do that? Like there is different things, like to connect with people who garden, right? Like how do they connect with their plants when they're planting them? So there is all this, like different things that I guess like different people have to connect with nature. And like I said, just like being conscious of of your breath. Like that's already connecting with the elements, right? So I was never the person to have a journal or to have a diary or to even write at all. Like like I was every time I will have to write, I will dread and I will be like, no, I have to draw, like write, and I will procrastinate. And like when I went there and I had to keep a journal because those were my field notes. And it was, it was just it was just this way of like releasing in a way too, like what was going on and like what I was like seeing and what I was feeling. And after a while it became a habit, like everything else, right? Like you continuously doing, and it becomes habits, and habits become rituals. And rituals become part of your practice, and like whatever spiritual practice that you have, right? Like this ritual of journaling, of writing. It's been part now for like the past 3 years of my practice, of my spiritual practice, that, like I would, and I don't write, like every day, but I do, like take the time to write what's, like what goes on, what happens, if, like I have, and like I always have to have my journal if I have an idea, and then I'm like, okay, I have to write it. And if it's like a photo project or something like that. And then with the dreaming and the dream journal, I did have, like a specific dream journal while I was doing my field work and my research. And then after a while, it just became part of my writing and my routine, right? So like I will wake up, and it's funny when you are moving a lot, because like a lot of the times the dreams feel different or are very different depending on the place that you are. And I find that sometimes when I'm in the city, I don't dream often. um so it's for me, it's very important to have like my spiritual practice where, like I ground myself, and like I give my space before I go to bed. And then, like just this process of decompressing and giving thanks for the day and just like releasing, right? And then, like what they say is like before you go to bed, you have to be like, okay, I'm going to bed, I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to dream. And then, like your mind also like becomes aware that you're going into a dream, and then, like it's conscious of what's going on. I wanted to be a criminal investigator, and that was, like my career, like my dream. And once I was, like studying, I started to, like change that, because like the way that the system, like I started like figuring out, I was like, okay, the system works in a funny way. And, like I don't know if I want to be part of that. So it was like, and then I took a photography course just for fun, because like I had like, like an extra class that I could do just to take it. So I took a photography course, and it was like this dark room film photography class. And I fell in love with it, and I was like, oh, this is like really, really fun. And I remember like I used to take, there was this park where we used to live in New Jersey, in the first home that we had. And there was this park that I used to go and take walks. And I remember one afternoon, I was taking a walk with my dad, and there was the sun, like the sunset, and the trees were like, the leaves were falling because it was fall. And falling in the United States, or like in New Jersey, it's like so beautiful because the trees, like the leaves fall down and they change the color. And it was the sun, and it was the golden hour, and it was like this beautiful light. And I was like, I wish I had a camera to like take this photo. And then I told my dad, I was like, I think I'm gonna get a camera. And then he was like, for what? And I was like, I don't know. I think I want to do photography. And then he just looked at me and he was like, because I've always been a person that wants to do everything. So it's like I'm like I want to do photography, I want to, like I want to do rock climbing, I want to skate, I want to, like go in the mountains, and it's just like all this, like it's always been like that. So my dad just took it as something that it will go away, and like it wasn't really serious. And then I remember like buying a camera, and I just started going with, like with my friends, and like they used to play in bands, so I will go and like photograph them in shows and stuff. And like I love doing portraits of people. And it was like so funny because like like I was very shy, and I was like, I don't know if I should ask him. I'm like, maybe I'm bothering him. What if they say no? And like all these questions. And I think like storytelling really helped me to like come out of that shell and like have that, like that bravery to like speak up to others and be and like share. And it's like a different way of communication too, because like once people see you with a camera, that some people are like interested in like having their photo, like created or made. um and it was like something that will build conversation too, like like just someone seeing you with a camera will be like, oh, you like photography, and then the conversation will start like very naturally. So I think, like after that, I wanted to change my degree, and then I couldn't, I didn't. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna finish it. I'm gonna still do photography, and then when I finish, like college, I can go for a master's and do something with photography.